Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's workshop with Pivot on becoming irreplaceable at work in the uncertain times. Glad to see a lot of you have already joined us. I see that Coach Ram and Shalini are both here too.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Shalini. How are you?
Good, good. Good to connect again.
Okay. Hi, Ram. I see you as well. How are you doing?
Hi, Arjun. Hi, Shalini.
Hello to you as well.
All right. Thank you so much for finally making time for this session today. I'm very excited to kick this one off. We have been trying to do this session because of all the craziness, all the madness that's happening in the job market today around us. So, really excited to kick this one off today. We'll start maybe with a round of introductions, just a little bit about me. So I am the founder of Pivot, which is a startup that helps people make career transitions. So if you're looking to change your domain, your industry, or your level within the organization, do check us out. We'll talk more about Pivot later in the session. And then we have Coach Ram with us. So Ram is currently the Chief Learning Officer at Page Industries, which is around 4,000 crores in revenues, big company, and I'm sure a lot of us use their products. We also have Shalini Gaba with us. She is a top leadership development and career transition coach. So welcome, Shalini and Ram. Thanks again for joining today. Anything, Ram, that you want to share about your background or a quick intro for the audience?
I had a fairly unorthodox career trajectory. Not a management trainee, not an MBA. Worked with different kinds of, from home offices to promoter-driven organizations to conglomerates across industries. So had the opportunity to experience diversity. So I and have an idea of how it feels to be a big fish in small pond, small fish in big pond, right? And so various experiences. So those experiences and learnings from that is what I share with participants. And career coaching is something that I've been doing for about more than a decade. That was more of mentoring. More in the ICF parlance, more person coaching. The whole person coaching approach is something that I got introduced to when I got trained with ICF. And I'm a PCC coach right now with ICF. So I work with developing leaders and helping leaders move into CXO positions.
Got it. Great. Thanks so much for sharing that, Ram. Shalini, do you want to perhaps share a bit about yourself as well?
So very quickly, first of all, excited to be here and share the stage with all of you. My journey has been in corporate world for last 23 years. I've been head of learning and head of human resource for a lot of geographies and multiple organizations. But coaching and consulting has been a passion which I have kind of badly invested due to certain transition in my own life, whether personal or career-wise. And I realized the investment brought a lot of sanity to how I'm looking at life, my perspective towards my own journey. And it became a nature, if I may say that, when I was interacting with people at work, that conversations were not just about job description or looking at their skill sets, but it was about how I can help them travel along with them, be a companion, identify and see how I can, build a path for them, or facilitate a path for them or create an ambience for them. This is my career too. It's been a transition gradually to what I'm doing, and this is something I really enjoy doing. And I know this comes with lot of caution that it's not about being an entrepreneur, but it's about wherever you are and how much of intention and integrity you are presenting or putting into that. So this is who I am talking to you, and I think stage is open. Arjun is going to take the lead, and I'm excited to share along with Ram as well today.
Yes. Absolutely beautiful. Thanks so much, Shalini, for that. I think both of you have had a very interesting career background and journey. So I think there's a lot to unpack here today. I think the big elephant in the room today is the volatility and the uncertainty in the job market, right? I mean, at least in my lifetime, I don't think we have experienced something like this. I don't know about Ram and Shalvi, yours, but there has been a financial crisis before in 2008, right? And there was a lot of uncertainty back then as well. But I think it was kind of clear that the market was down and certain industries were hit hard. What's different about this time is that there are multiple factors which are causing this uncertainty. We have high inflation, we have a war going on, we have AI advancement, which some people say are replacing human jobs, and a confluence of other factors. So maybe Ram, if you can share a bit in terms of your perspective, what you think is really happening that's impacting individual careers today, and then we will talk about how people should address those challenges or those inflection points they are facing in their careers. But what's really happening that's impacting individual careers?
I think the notion about careers is changing. The notion of one track, one field, 10, 15 years or 30 years in one domain and retiring was a career that many of us grew up seeing. My father worked in he did one role, one company, and of course multiple roles, one company, and 35 years. And now you see the options have increased, the career opportunities have multiplied. There was a phase even when new career streams were opening up. There are many new roles that we have now which didn't exist about 10 years ago. Though new career streams were opening up, people largely stuck to whatever careers they started with. Maybe two pivots in their entire career. To now, all those assumptions are being challenged. When pandemic happened, even people who would not have otherwise switched jobs, industries, etc., were forced to shift. So people had to look at different options. And when hiring got restarted, even organizations were more open to absorbing talent from different industries, different roles. They were not looking for 100% fit in terms of same industry, same experience, so on and so forth. So a lot of flexibility sort of came into the ecosystem, not by choice, but because of pandemic. A lot more options came in, and now business models are evolving. And a lot of businesses shut during COVID. A lot of new businesses started during COVID, and season of frantic hiring, then frantic layoffs. All of this, the predictability factor that humans generally look for has been found wanting. So there is a void. We all are keen to look for patterns. If something happens, then we want a quick fix formula. Okay, 3 steps to do this, and if you do these 3 things, your career is safe, right? So these are things that we want, and these are things that we expect. And if we are expecting that answer now, unfortunately, that's not there. No one can. If there is any career coach out there who is saying, I'll tell you what you need to do, to be super sure what your career path is, etc., they're bluffing. Even the question of what do you want to be 5 years from now is gone out of the window. No one knows what's going to happen in 5 years, right? So, in so much of if I am not really anchored in myself, it will seem very chaotic. It will look like I am doomed. My job is not secure. We don't know who will take over my company. We don't know what will happen to my industry, chat GPT, so on and so forth. If I am prone to, you know, uh, external validation, external stimuli, seeking a
Right.
pattern, then
Right.
I'm in a soup.
Yeah. I think, Ram, just in the interest of time, I think a lot of those factors that you have mentioned are very, very critical, especially the one that you started with, which was, one life, one career. Notion is really being kind of challenged and questioned by a lot of people. And at the same time, I think the part that you're focusing on now, which is there not being one quick fix or magic wand for your career challenges. I think definitely those are some of the things, because people have different career trajectories, different goals. So you can't have one quick fix. But I want to bring Shalini into the conversation. Just so Shalini, again, similar question to you, but I just want to, perhaps make it more practical. So, you have been helping people in their careers, right? Or at all kinds of levels, mid and senior levels. What are some of the key challenges or goals you are hearing from people today, more and more, that make you feel like, yes, times are changing?
So I think you and I have had this conversation multiple times, and I really appreciate what Ram just said, that there is a certain chaos and madness that has kicked in. It's just that we are more expressive about it. Communication is more vivid. Technology is only facilitating what we have been feeling in the past as well. So recession was bad and doomed for a lot of people in 2008, including my own self. I lost my job in 2008, but I made a careful decision at that time. So more and more people whom I'm speaking with currently are facing similar emotion, but it's just that they're more influenced by what they are reading, and they're more influenced and affected by what's really coming out there, on various platforms. And hence, as Ram said, it's very important to have your own narrative. What is your own narrative? What is your inner voice telling you? And how are you managing, your self-regulation on a consistent basis? And if you're able to do that, you'll be able to build strategies. So a lot of people that I'm coaching, so the problems are not different, believe me, when I say it at the CXO level or at the level which is slightly, below, because we are all humans. It's just that if we are observant about our life journey, and we kind of, always keep referring to that, and we are very, very true to what we have led our life with, and learning consistently, we will have answers, So if I mean, experimenting with ChatGPT is different for so many people. It's a variable. It can give you a standard answer as well, but if you kind of excite it, you kind of prompt it, you kind of give it more, prompts which are very, very specific to you, it gives you a beautiful answer. So that does not mean that, it's going to be something that's going to hinder your own process. I think it is a great facilitator, and so is technology in so many ways. Technology is something which has been an enabler for such a long time, and not a recent time as well. So I think this external noise, which has been happening, of course, it is also propelled by the number of layoffs that has happened. And see, when pandemic hit, there were a lot of courageous voice that came in that, we want to get back and the business has to take off. But the practical factor is that it was a great pause for a lot of people to realize, normalization. So people have normalized their emotions, their own career decisions, or businesses, so as to speak. So some of us have been able to make it, some of us are surviving, some of us are sustaining. So there is no clear answer to what are the challenges, people are facing. I think these are the common sentiments that I've been hearing, from people, as many people that I've been speaking with.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the kind of phenomenal impact that ChatGPT and just in general AI advancement has had in terms of people rethinking what they can do in their careers, regardless of which field or domain you're in. And then also having this sense of, sort of insecurity, because a lot of people are saying, oh, AI is going to take jobs and all that. I mean, it may or may not, it's yet to be seen, but I think a lot of people are at least thinking about it. So, if we move forward, I think the core of today's session that I want to focus on before we start taking questions from audience is what can people do, right, to really add more value at work, become an integral part of their team, right? And Ram, I think we can start with your thoughts on perhaps what you see within your organization, within your industry, some of the things that people at different levels, especially ones who are, let's say, in early or mid-career stages, are doing to acquire or enhance their skills and drive new behaviors that are helping them stand out from their peers.
Yeah, I think what's very important is to break um silos or boundaries that we have built around ourselves. If we are saying, I am an L&D professional and I'll die as L&D professional, right? Or I've started in sales and I'll do only sales. So a lot of these functional silos or our visions that we had for our careers at some point, we should be more flexible with that. Number one. Number two, look at a lot of times we tend to get into there whenever there is a downturn, my function gets impacted. It's tough to be in support functions. These are things that I've heard. So we should look at how close I am to the actual business, irrespective of whether I am in support function, back end, front end, wherever. How connected am I to business, especially when there is a downturn, and if there is a critical meeting that's happening on how do we prep up our business, what should be our strategy. If I am not there in that meeting, then it's the cause for concern, because there are out of all the roles that exist, there are few roles that are critical to business kind of roles. And it's not about the role that you are in. It's about how you have positioned your role in the organization, right? There are, I can be, irrespective of the role that I am in, how the role is perceived in the organization, makes a huge difference. So knowing the business in and out, immersing myself in the business, picking up skills that are crucial, crucial for me to excel, right? So there are some new age skills that are critical for everyone. Like they say, finance for non-finance. Irrespective of which function I am in, etc., I need to be on top of the game, right? And also look at what is the instead of business coming to me and saying, can we relook at your function differently? I can go back. So there are times where I have gone back and said, you know what, my team size is X. I think it can be X by 2 because we can digitize a lot of stuff, etc., etc. So let's look at digitizing a lot of our interventions, and we need to look at career planning for all the other roles, upskilling, etc., so on and so forth. So rather than being in the border, being at the center of the table, being part of the business strategy, knowing the business in and out, and being on top of the game instead of playing catch up. And how do I know being on top of the game? A lot of these conferences that happen, you get to pick up friends. You get to pick up what is, what are people talking about. So you gain skills like that. Be open-minded, be flexible, break the silos, get out of the jail of job description, and see how can I actually add value to the business.
Yeah, I think all great points, and definitely the point around being closer to business, and you can do that from any role. You just need to make sure that you are being deemed as a critical part of of the entire business, the revenue generation or the cost optimization, whatever the goal you can impact from your particular seat. I think Shalini, from your perspective, let's say I'm somebody, you can take up any function, whether it's marketing, whether it's HR. I know we have a few people from ops and HR in the room. They may not always be part of the revenue generation side of the business, right? And that can sometimes make people feel undervalued or less important. How do I still kind of make myself critical to my team and my organization? How do I develop core expertise which can help me stay stable and secure within my organization?
So Arjun, before I answer that, I was reading something where there was a line which said that your self-worth is your own responsibility. I think it'll resonate with what Ram also just said, and it's a lot about serious investment and visibility. And it's so easy to go ahead and today pick up a tool and match your job description and identify the skills that will pop up. So it's as simple as that. However, are you on top of it? Are you aware? Staying connected to the business is extremely important. However, in your critical role, so you picked up some support function examples here. A lot of CVs when I'm talking to people or even at work, during talent acquisition journeys as well, most of the people want to traditionally articulate their story. They don't go ahead and articulate it from tangible, examples perspective that how are they useful to the organization. There are 4 things which I always share with people, when they are speaking about their narrative is, who are you? What are you bringing to the world? How are you useful? So what are your use cases that you're useful to a business, to a stakeholder, to a person, to a journey, and how are you a differentiator? Why are you a differentiator that somebody should go ahead and work with you or collaborate with you? I think these are some of the serious questions, simply put, only for the reason, and we need to consistently keep asking them that, where we are at a particular stage. Of course, trends definitely give us an indication in terms of how to stay afloat or how to kind of match make, what's trending in the market. But as we have rightly picked up, it's so volatile and it is so fluctuating, and it is so replicable. Skills are so replicable. Then what do you do? How do you kind of create an impression, which is your executive presence, or you are being noticed for, who you are and not one of the paper in the stack of CVs that would come, or, group of people that would be in the organization. So I think it's very critical to kind of keep doing a self-inventory on a regular basis. Even if you're a marketing person, how do you kind of go ahead and look at those add-on skills? Are your marketing skills only related to, a brand communication? Are you doing other aspects from collaborative projects perspective? Marketing also has integrated, KRAs and KPIs or responsibility that would fall with other departments. So how can you pick up those projects that will go ahead and create your reputation, in the market or in the organizations? Likewise for HR, can HR go ahead and take, other responsibility, maybe, maybe compliance for that matter? Okay. D&I is something which is an organization goal, or sustainability for that matter. So there are various aspects that one can go ahead and promote and present themselves. It comes with a very conscious and cautious choice that how serious you are. Are you waiting for the doomsday that a missile will strike you and then you will go ahead and upskill yourself and present yourself? Or you are living it as a consistent journey, fully aware that unpredictability and volatility is something that's going to be our companion consistently. It is something that's not going to go out of the window. Pandemic has been a great, checkpoint for all of us. So are we willing to go ahead and stay afloat and sustain, or are we going to check out something, it's our responsibility?
Very true. I think very true. I think pandemic definitely accelerated a lot of the things that were already happening earlier. And now I think with the inflation war and AI advancement, there's a lot of other career-related new focus areas that have come up. And I think learning development is chief among them. Ram, I think you had something to add on this.
Yeah, so the catchword that came to my mind was resourcefulness. Whether you are in marketing, whether you're in L&D, whether you're in legal, whichever role function that you are in, there is no function that is unimportant. If it is not important, it would not have been in the org structure in the first place. It is important. There is a value addition. Now, when the purse is getting tight and resources, monetary investments into these functions of so-called cost centers is low, what the organization is saying is, they're not saying you're unimportant. They're saying, we need you to do more with less.
Mm-hmm.
And different people have come out with different strategies. So with lesser resources, I need to gain more visibility and from a marketing point of view. With lesser resources, I need to drive more L&D initiatives, probably do more in-house, probably look at virtual mechanisms, etc., etc. So for me, it's about being resourceful. It's not about and a pitfall I have seen many people fall into is withdrawal. They say, okay, last year my budget was X crores. This year you have made it X minus. So I can only do so much. Thank you very much. If you value my function, give me the money, I will do it. That's a stand that won't help you. What is expected from you is to be more resourceful and give more value for money. The same thing that even customers expect, right? So that's the attitude that will definitely hold us in good state. And there's no function which is unimportant.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly with, I think, resourcefulness being a great quality and trait at any level within the organization. I think a lot of times, based on my experience, what I've seen, when you're an early employer, let's say a newcomer or entry level, you don't always have that initiative taking spirit because you haven't been in that kind of corporate environment before, and nobody really tells you that, hey, you're not just supposed to do what you're asked. Sometimes you can help other teammates solve their problems, and that can actually put you in the good books or help you stand out from the crowd. So yeah, I think that's a very good point, Ram. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, we have actually gotten a couple of questions already. Some came directly to me as well, but there are two questions which have similar undertones. And I thought, we can continue our discussion, but maybe just take those up. So the question that I have from Sita Ram actually is, he wants to know what can prevent you from being in the spotlight of the mass layoff drive, right? So how do you avoid putting yourself in the line of fire? Is there some framework, some formula? Can you do anything, or is it mostly like organizational driven? Shalini, do you want to take a stab at this first?
Sure. So first, there are two aspects to it: business restructuring, mergers, acquisition, shutdown, technology advancement are ensuring constantly that jobs are disposable and all skills can be replicated, bought, or updated. So this is our current reality. There is nothing that can go ahead and escape the route of when it comes to layoffs or retrenchment that happens due to business decision. So I'm sorry to say that, but that's our reality. There is definitely not a formula to it, but I would like to say that this is a process. It's something there where you can go ahead and kind of check box certain milestones so that you're prepared at all point of time. Some of the identified skills, which are really being looked at in today's market is agility, adaptability, and resilience. Over credential and business results. And this is something which Gartner has published. This is something which HBR has spoken about. You refer to anybody, and these are some of the published skills which people are talking about. So how do you kind of, manage something that will hit you suddenly? Is constant network. So don't network just for, because suddenly a decision has come your way, but network to build rapport and relationship and not just increasing visibility. Because we have time constraint, I cannot go deep down into how do we do this, but yeah, some of the things that I can go ahead and kind of speak about is have authentic relationship, invest in them, memorize important events, create memories with impact, do an audit for your own resume, your skill set on a constant basis, and have some mentorship coming your way by writing to people on LinkedIn, because people do respond, on LinkedIn today. So can you go ahead and kind of talk to somebody who can be your, your companion? Have that inner circle where you can go ahead and also share your emotions, because this transition journey is very, very, different for each one. Some people may look at it completely, as a pause, but some of us may look at it suddenly as a big shock. So how do you kind of, sail through is going to be, another strategy that you have to kind of look at. Then, of course, LinkedIn optimization, our traditional way to look at things would be content, which you can go ahead and create to get more eyeballs for your social media footprints. How can you build connectors with people constantly? How can, in the organization, never try not to burn the bridges, go ahead and have a, even if there is an exit summary that you're building for yourself, how can you build that, on a good note that you may be a boomerang employee in the future? There could be a 13-month cycle that has been identified by a lot of organizations where stabilization kind of comes into the business, and people look at the pool that they have kind of laid off in the first go, and they may just look at seeing whether the relationship still can be built with those people. So identify and remember that, if you can go ahead and stay connected to your old bosses, your old colleagues, create a framework for yourself in terms of consequences versus action. So there's a lot of people that I'm coaching where they would go ahead and get an offer, like which is the first offer, and then suddenly they'll be like, Shalini, I want to go ahead and wait for the second offer that comes my way, because this is almost 40% dip in my last salary and my compensation. And my advice to people have been that, go ahead and at least come back onto the platform of being in the employment. Because once you're in it, it does contribute to your sanity. However, ensure that this is in sync with what you're looking at. Do you have clarity for your purpose and goal? So if you have that, and it is kind of checkboxing those important pointers for you, compensation is something that you can kind of normalize over a period of time.
Right.
Organization, your own choice. Yeah. So I think, I can go on and about it. But
yeah. No, I think there's a lot to digest there, Shalini. I think you shared a lot of terrific points. I think, definitely with regard to the process that you identified, right? It may not be a magic wand silver bullet to not get fired, because it sounds like it's more organization driven. Yeah. But there is a certain set of activities or process you can do to invest in yourself and differentiate yourself. Ram, your thoughts on the same question, but there's actually another very related question, from Neely. And Neely, you can read that question since it's for everyone. He said, how do you not get fired? But more than that, is having a high salary a big disadvantage today, because a lot of companies are trying to, do cost rationalization. And it's a very pertinent question that would apply to people at mid to senior level, especially. And we have seen that. I wrote about this on LinkedIn today. I've worked with people who were deemed high performers, given good bonuses just last year. And then 2-3 months later, they were let go because of the cost optimization. So what are your thoughts with regard to this?
Yeah, so there's no bulletproof formula for not being part of layoffs, because just like you get hired for 100 different reasons, you can get fired also for 100 different reasons. And either getting hired or getting fired is not 100% because of you. There are multiple factors that are at play. So being aware of that is very, very important, because you should not be unfairly hard on your own self. Having said that, having a high salary is not a disadvantage in that sense. What we should look for, and that's what we do, even if we want to cut down our expenses at home, we'll see, where should I put my money? I have limited resources. So where should I put my money? Where am I getting more value from? So if my CTC is X, and what is the perceived value that I'm delivering? Is that X plus, or is that X minus? and I'm using and I'm intentionally putting the word perceived there, because it's all about how the organization sees you. It's not about what you think you're delivering. It's about what the organization thinks you're delivering, right?
Mhm.
And am I delivering more than what I am getting from the organization, or am I delivering less? And there are different ways for you in which you can sense this, whether you're
Right.
in the green or you're in the red. And those cues are something that you need to look out for. It's definitely not about the CTC, right?
Mhm.
So as long as you're in the green, you're delivering more than, and that could mean different things depending on the role that you are in, um, depending on the output that is expected of you. There are ways for you to get these. So I should say you should definitely have your sensors on, right?
Right.
Read the unsaid statements, and you
Mhm.
will know whether you are in the right direction or you are not in the right direction. And even if you sense you are in the right, you can definitely have a conversation with the key stakeholders, decision makers, and figure out what is the expected value, right?
Mhm.
Because it's a very dynamic thing, right? What was
Right.
expected of me a year ago vis-a-vis what is expected of me now in this year is very different.
Right.
And uh, using resourcefulness, using all the other traits, how flexible am I? If I'm in a startup kind of an ecosystem, and if I say that you hired me for X role, I'll do only X. I'll not do anything outside of this. Uh, doesn't matter how great a performer you are, if you're not flexible, you will be out, right?
Mhm.
So there are few skills which are like few things which are derailers. If you are very
Yeah.
rigid in how you go about things, if you are
Mhm.
seen as having a fixed attitude in terms of this is how things should be done, having a perfectionist orientation. Only if
Mhm.
you give me ABC, then I'll be able to deliver. Otherwise, sorry, I can't. So not being agile, um, either in terms of how you go about your work or the portfolio that you can handle, etc., etc., then you're in a fix, and you will get
Mhm.
these sensors. So, in short, um, figure out what is your perceived value that you are delivering from your key stakeholders, decision makers, and it's not very difficult. It's
Yeah.
the way you're treated is something that's you will feel every day.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're speaking on that topic about certain skills that actually are positive and add to your your repertoire so that you can be more influential within the firm and make strides in your career. And then Ram, you also pointed out certain skills or certain behaviors that might actually derail your career or hold you back. I think that's a very I think probably the most critical topic people should be thinking about from a career standpoint today. So one of the questions we have, which might be slightly broad or generic in nature, but Shalini, would love to start with you on what are some of the most important sought after skills that are likely to stay relevant despite the kind of impact that AI is having. Obviously, it can be a Pandora's box of skills that we can talk about because it varies by the role and industry. But are there any, time-tested skills which you feel are gaining more and more importance in today's, people's individual careers?
So again, digital dexterity is definitely, at the topmost. I think a child today hears lullaby from the phone before their parents. So I think all of us needs to be digitally dexterous. Definitely, we need to be completely adaptable, flexible, resilient. These are some of the skills that I've spoken about. You need to have some kind of specialist skills, definitely, up your radar that kind of differentiates you, and you're known for that. That becomes a specific use case for you because you know that you'll be distinguished from other people basis that. So it could be a quality or it could be a skill sets. Courtesy a project that you have done, or you may be somebody known for taking maybe eye for detail. I'm just giving a very random example here, but somebody who has a research orientation. These are some of the things that we've heard in the past, but today as well, some of the skills that people are really, really looking at is that are you, are you really resilient in today's scenario? Are you going to pick up the baton and say that, okay, I'm willing to go ahead and do that? If you're given more responsibilities, are you flexible? So we were addressing this previous question, which is about, is salary a precursor for layoff? For some of us, and I'm just going to connect this answer there. Sometimes, yes, it is. But it is also, so for example, what if you're asked to go ahead and take a 50% cut in the same organization, what is your answer then? And why are you given that opportunity? So when I'm addressing a lot of people, my question to them is that before you go ahead and explore that, okay, I don't want to take a cut. Why are you being chosen even for that option? And what are some of the tangible achievements that organization has observed about you? So identify all of that. There are definitely some trending skills which each era sees. And currently, I think, some of the replaceable skills are people who can go ahead and work with AI to their advantages. People with human design principle, design thinking. Some of these skills are pretty prevalent, and but then there is also another aspect like a lot of psychologists, because of the want of mental health. So people who can observe and comment from organization psychology perspective, people who address consumer psychology very, very closely. So I think, so behavioral economics is another specialist skill set that's come up. So again, these are some of the trending skill sets. Again, it's a very generic question, hence I'm trying to answer it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, see, certain skills are going to be very role specific, like, the functional skills and the knowledge based skills. But then there are certain personal traits, perhaps behaviors, attitudes, right, that can really help you pretty much in every role. Like, for example, communication, leadership, this is something that will differentiate you. So, one of the things that maybe we can hone in on, Ram, a little bit is, interpersonal skills. So in today's hyper, technologized world and everything being digitized, there is, some would say arguably, some weakening of interpersonal communication and skills happening because people are interacting more with machines. There's less interaction with humans. What are your thoughts on A, how important are interpersonal skills today? And B, if they are important, how do we continue to strengthen them and develop a good network within the organization, outside the organization, to add value to not just our own career, but others as well?
Okay, so I'll probably, while you ask me to elaborate on communication and interpersonal skills, because that fits into what I refer to as the ABCDE, I'll quickly go through that. So I've coined saying, ABCDE are the skills that are required, to thrive in the current times. A standing for anti-fragility, which is, being responsive to change and thriving in change. B for business acumen, being absolutely in sync with the business, immersed in the business and not being a spectator, but being a player. I find it really weird when support functions refer to operations as business, saying that, okay, we are not business and I'm working with business. So notionally, that's one. C definitely stands for communication. D for digital savviness. Even Shalini spoke about dexterity, and E for empathy. So even in the 5 skills that I spoke of, both there are 2 elements which are communication and empathy, which is focused on the people side of it. Now, I see a lot of employment modes emerging, a lot of gig workforce. You may need to engage with, full-time employment will become a thing of past. More and more gig workforce will come in. More and more you need to work with different people. So definitely, and multi-generational workforce is going to be a thing for sure. All of this will clearly call out for someone who is good at getting things together, right? There was an interesting, there's a book which talks about, there's a book by name Range. It talks about whether you should be a generalist or a specialist. While specialists are celebrated, the future is about more generalists, because a lot of people will be doing a lot of stuff, and generalists is someone who can bring things together and sort of be an orchestrator to create that symphony. And very, very fundamental to that, creating that symphony, is your interpersonal skills and communication, so that you are able to bring many parts together. So if you are in a corporate, if you are working in a large organization, you are part of a project, you can, one person can never complete a project. You'll have to work with different people. How do you do that is going to be the key. Crux of developing good interpersonal skills and empathy is genuine curiosity and listening skills. That's something which is rare, because we have not been trained enough on that. We listen to respond and not really listen to understand. Right? That's not as easy as said. But if you can genuinely build relationships, so some of the signs that I look for is if someone who has a lot of childhood friendships still continuing, right? If your social circle is strong, it's a sign that you are someone who is good at communication. You are good at investing in relationships, and you can and that really, you can't really separate personal and professional life. If you are someone who is a loner in personal life, it's impossible that you'll become the greatest manager in professional life, right? So investing in relationship is key. And networking is not something which is required only when you are hunting for a job. Networking is something that's a hygiene skill that is required for you to be effective at work, right? People with better network within the organization, their impact is far, far higher than people who don't have so much of a network within the ecosystem.
Right.
So investing in the relationships, listening, and you can be good at relationships if you are listening and have that empathy quotient. Right? Then you'll be able to work together, bring people together, bring teams together, and that's an essential skill going forward.
Yeah. I think thanks for sharing that framework. I think it really crystallizes out of all the noise that's out there, do this, do that, do that. I think it crystallizes what people should really focus on, the EVCDE formula. And I think it transcends specific functions or careers. It doesn't just apply to one. I think it applies to many. There's one question here which I feel is very, very critical in today's times, which is centered around flexibility, right? So a lot of companies have provided great flexibility, work from home opportunities, freelancing, moonlighting opportunities because of COVID. And now that pandemic has somewhat ended, companies are in this state of flux. They don't know what to do. It seems like some of them want employees to come back to the office. Some of them are okay with having hybrid or work from home. So one of the questions that we have here is from someone who's saying, that I, as a young parent, cannot really be in the office every day, but I want to work, right? I just need some flexibility. When I ask for that, they either tell me, no, you have to work from office, or they tell me that if you're working from home, you will not progress in your career. You will not get to work on important projects. And ultimately, there's, kind of a ceiling that you hit and you pretty much resign, right? So flexibility has become sort of the norm, especially because of the pandemic. How do we deal with it in today's times when the pandemic has ended? Like, should employees think about just focusing on the organizational goals and compromising on the personal priorities and just going back to the office as was the norm before pandemic? Or should we continue to balance our work-life priorities? Shalini, what are your thoughts?
So this is my personal story that I've lived all my life, and I'm an independent parent. And from the time when these things were not really spoken about, and I brought up a child, she's 18 and a half now, single-handedly, and I've seen this all my life. I've been questioned and been the solo female board member. A lot of time, biases also would hit in as well. So my answer is balance and priorities. What are your priorities? Is your priorities, and how is your job serving you? Is your job serving you, as a standout? Is it serving you from financial aspect perspective, or it is the whole platform that you kind of have created for yourself, which is not just money, which is not just promotion, which is not just meeting people at work, but it is one ecosystem that you've brought in with a serious contention and intention. So if you start looking at your employment like that, you'll find your answers. And I think there is, Ram spoke about empathy. I feel that employers are more compassionate post-pandemic, because these things were never spoken about. Mental health was not spoken about. Work from home was never a norm earlier. At least there has been a certain awareness. There hasn't been a consistent and constant change. Global organizations are more familiar with this, so they are, of course, going by it. But then there are certain nature of businesses where employment is required on site, and businesses do not do about it. So it is not very person specific that somebody would force you, unless you're a factory worker where you're required to kind of, as per labor regulation, you have to show up at work. But it is very specific to the business requirement as well. However, yes, in certain cases, there are outliers where, there is a perception that has to be built in that if you show up at work, you're more seen, you're more viable, you're more useful. But that's something that always existed. It is not something that has newly been formulated saying that, okay, you have to report to work. We have become more resistant about it because we have now used to certain aspect which we can operate from home. So I think it's both ways. It's not just employer only. It's also as an individual, we've realized that we can still contribute to business by being at home and also managing the other priorities, that we have as commitment to our life as well. So I think from that perspective, one has to really take a holistic call that what is this job serving me? And are there any flexible options around it? And try to invest in those conversations and see that there is a possibility. Otherwise, look out for those options, which are available in the market, which is offering remote or work from home opportunities, so it's as simple as
that. Thanks for sharing that. I think, again, very clear, very pointed answer. I think, so you have to have the self-awareness to know what your priorities are and align your work with that. And at the same time, be balanced, try not to kind of have your pendulum swing too far in any one direction. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think we have only a few minutes left and we still have quite a few questions to cover. So maybe we can move on to the next question here, which is from Pritish. And Pritish's questions, I think, Ram, this might be very, very relevant for you, given you are leading the learning and development operations for a very large organization. There are a lot of these massive open online course platforms, right? You have Coursera's, LinkedIn, edX, etc. Right? They provide specific certifications in a broad swath of fields, right? Pritish's question, I can guarantee, because I have myself come across at least 100 plus people who have asked me this question, is what is the real worth of these certification courses? Are they going to make a difference, A, to my knowledge and understanding of the field? And B, are recruiters and hiring managers, organizations going to take this with a grain of salt, or they're going to value it? So this is a question which I don't know how commonly I've heard, but it's on a lot of people's minds. So what are your thoughts on this?
I've seen a lot of memes about doctors who passed out during COVID. So the confidence of the industry about certifications is very low. They look for demonstrated experience. They look for skills that you can show, that you can demonstrate in the interview, right? Certifications, unless it's a Harvard full-time MBA or something like that, certificates have no value. Hard truth. A recruiter, you will never get a job because of a certificate. You may do better in your job or because of the skills you've gained, so on and so forth. But certificates don't get you jobs. Best, it gives you an edge because the recruiter or the hiring manager will feel that you are keen on learning, you are a learner, you have decided to make investment in yourself. Could be free courses, could be paid courses, but it shows an intent that you have invested in yourself. That's it. Beyond that, it's about the skills that you demonstrate, either part of the interview, if it is a soft skill, something like a business acumen. It's about how you perform in the interview, and that shows. Your business acumen shows in the way you respond to the questions, right? Or unless if it is a very hard skill, right? It's about if it's a hard skill of how do I repair a car, right? It's a hard skill, and if you've got a technical certification, then yes, that has value because you know that it's a very hard skill, and that certificate is not given easily like that. But the industry and the roles that we are talking about, the relevance of certificates is less.
Got it. Shalini, I think you have something to add here.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Ram just expressed. I think very, very relevant that so these certification has been trending for a longest time now. But why do you require them? One needs to go ahead and self-reflect, because a lot of people who are in the transition journey either want to buy in time, kind of fill in the blank on their resume with this, or it is a mental health refuge for them. When they are study, because it's an answer to the action. We feel when we are actionable, endorphins get released in our body. It's a scientific example, and how is the certification serving you? Is it creating, an equity for you from your talent perspective? Are you becoming more valuable? And how are you able to go ahead and story tell that skill that you have learned as a capability in your storytelling, in your conversation? And there is a clear distinction between skills and capability. How do you qualify that? So I think one needs to go ahead and ask these questions before they go ahead and catch the trend that so many certifications that come in as as that run on the right banner as well, right hand side banner as well. So I think it's very, very critical to go ahead and understand and analyze something that kind of, for example, in internal promotion will always be suggested by your company. As per skill mapping, they kind of uplift and want to upgrade you. However, when you are in a job market and you want to go ahead and look at certification, you need to be a little more cautious and research oriented to see that how is it serving me in the long term.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I think let's have one last question before we wrap this up. There is a question around actually career transitions, which is a topic that we specialize in at Pivot. That's our kind of core focus area, our bread and butter, to help people make these kind of transitions. But I would love to know, Ram and Shalini, your thoughts on this particular question. So the question is, let's say I'm somebody who is, who has experience in one field and I'm trying to transition to a new field. Let's take an example. Let's say I'm an engineer, I'm trying to become a product manager. We see a lot of those kind of transitions happening. Right now, there are certain transferable skills and there are certain skill gaps that are critical for you to bridge. Now, when you are transitioning, how do you prove to a prospective employer, the recruiters, that you have it in you to do the new role that you're targeting, to become a product manager, even though you have never done it before? So, the question is, okay, maybe I can take some courses, maybe I can do some projects on my own, but that doesn't always satiate the employer's requirements. What else can I do to upskill, to showcase that I'm capable of performing XYZ job? Ram, we'll start with you.
You have two types of organizations. Organizations who are very open to talent mobility and actively promote people to different functions, roles, and build careers. So in that kind of a scenario, it's pretty easy. You need to express interest, and if there's aptitude, they'll give you the role. it's always easy to make that transition within an organization rather than moving to a different organization. If I'm an engineer in one company, I apply for product management in a different company, the chances are very low. So my suggestion would be, instead of getting tempted for the additional pay, etc., which I would get, if I take up an engineer role outside, I'll probably get that higher pay. But it makes sense to invest in the current organization by offering to volunteer, by offering to partner, etc. Of course, certifications help, but projects is the only answer. Either I do it on my own or I support someone within the organization, because in absence of products, in absence of the projects, there's nothing that someone who doesn't know you, a new organization, can bet on. If it is an existing organization, then they have seen you perform. They know what to expect from you and they can bet on you. If it is a new organization, obviously has to be projects only.
Yeah, I think very practical advice, and I would definitely suggest looking within your organization if there is talent mobility initiatives that the company actively asks employees to participate in. Just given that we have worked with a lot of people helping them transition, I think some of the other things you can think about when you are transitioning, just quickly, is one, perhaps taking up either an internship on the weekends. There are a lot of startups today which are looking to hire good talent at a reasonable cost. They can't afford full-time employees, at a very high or senior level because of cost constraints. And so in those cases, you can target early stage startup founders, reach out to them to gain early experience, whether it's a product role or marketing role or some of the other key roles that startups are looking to hire for. The other way to do this is also consider freelancing. Obviously, that cannot conflict with your organization's internal, moonlighting or anti-moonlighting policies. But if you have, left the job, or if your organization allows you to, to work in a different role outside the organization, you can think about, putting up a profile on a platform like Upwork or a freelancer and multiple other freelancing platforms, even offer services on LinkedIn. There are a lot of people today who are offering coaching services on LinkedIn, for example. So you can build real world experience, have real clients and get a very tangible feedback for them that you can then showcase to prospective employers. But yeah, I think, what Ram, you have shared makes a lot of sense as well. Shalini, any thoughts from you on this or anything else that we have discussed today? I know we didn't get to talk a lot about the leadership development aspects, which is a core expertise of yours, but feel free to perhaps touch upon that, and then we'll try and wrap it up quickly because we have.
So I think that's a whole different topic altogether, but I'll add on to what Ram very nicely has picked up. Serious organization and learning have talent mobility platforms, where they're looking at cross-functional and promise skills. So there are technical skills, there are skills, which are identified as promise skills, which are actually promising that, you're ready, your readiness as a talent. And likewise, I think in an external journey and not just as part of the organization, what you have commented on, Arjun, it's very important that remove the remuneration out of the picture and see that how can I bring more tangible examples of my my journey. How can I be seen as, a talent to someone who's willing to buy my services? So be seen as a thought leader, be seen as, getting endorsements from people, providing services, discovery calls. There's so many ways you can go ahead and actually position yourself as what you want to be known as. So it's just not limited about certification. It's also about how you can actually how clear and sure you are that you are, representing this. So if you're clear and sure, I'm sure you'll find your way, in terms of your navigation and find the right education or talk to the right people and, leverage this. So I think I'm going to just go ahead and add that.
I think we covered a lot of different points, and it's not easy to navigate your individual career in today's time. So I hope we were able to add value. Ram and Shalini, I want to thank you again for being here and sharing all your experiences and insights. Truly, truly made a difference. I just want to share a bit about Pivot and also Ram and Shalini. So in case you are looking to speak with Shalini or Ram about your individual careers, how to navigate the challenges that you're facing, feel free to reach out to them on LinkedIn. And at the same time, if you're looking to transition your careers, do reach out to us. And I will be sharing a link here just momentarily, which you can check out. Just 1 second. So please do check it out. And again, thank you everyone for joining in. I hope you have a great rest of the night. Take care. Bye, Ram. Thank you, Shalini.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Great interact with all of you.